Hi, Calaveras County. Morgan Gotche here with the Calaveras Chamber of Commerce. And I am standing here with Scott Nanik. And Scott is with the Office of Education here in Calaveras County. And Scott, I'd like you to introduce your role for us a little bit, because for the maybe 2 or 3 people in Calaveras County who don't know who you are, it would be great to understand how you're involved with our school system here.
Sure. I'm the County Superintendent of Schools, and I'm in an elected position, which is a little unusual for the school system. But I oversee all the school districts in the county, primarily for 2 functions: to ensure financial stability and to ensure that their educational system and instructional piece is up to par. And those are kind of my oversights. There's tons of other services that we do for the schools in the county, but those are the big ones that keep me very busy.
I bet. Well, obviously, the state of the county, we're really impacted right now, specifically by COVID-19. And I know this has been a hot topic for you as well. Just like any of our other businesses here, COVID-19 has really impacted our schools. And so can you share a little bit about what that looks like from your end right now?
So COVID was a shock, I think, for everybody. It was not on the radar for any of our plans. We all were really looking at PSPS issues, possibly another fire in the county. I had built really strong relationships with the Office of Emergency Services to try to get ahead of things. And then COVID hits and we're all kind of caught off guard. And so it really brought, the educational system almost to a halt, because you can't jump from classroom to distance learning overnight. Nobody was ready for that. Our teachers weren't ready for that. It's not a simple process. You don't just take what you've been doing in the classroom in a very animated fashion, in a very caring fashion, and a coaching fashion, and take that to digital. Because those relationships are different. It's harder to get across. So our teachers, I'm really proud of, have worked extremely hard to make this try to work as best they can, and to learn fast and to jump in classes. We immediately offered some classes around Google training and Zoom training. And we had over 100 teachers jump on board right away and said, help me get through this. So I'm really proud of how far they've come. I don't know if the public is aware, the school guidance booklet that's out that we have to follow the new rules is over 20 pages long. So it's just not as simple as put kids back in class or take kids out of class, and how do we do this? There's some really strong measures that have to be met to do that safely.
So a lot of difficult decisions are having to be made about the virtual versus what you were saying, the dynamic education that the teachers are accustomed to. How has that transition worked, and what does that look like right now for the Calaveras County schools?
Much improved over spring, I will tell you that, because we got our feet under us. We could slow down a little bit. We could be more explicit about how we are going to approach this. We entered the spring, about 80% of our population had connectivity at home. We've gotten that up to about 90-95% through really hard work through our technology departments in the schools, providing devices, providing hotspots, working with our providers to provide low-cost solutions for families and free solutions for families. So that's been a big piece of what we've been doing. Today, I would say we're all distance learning at the moment. We're still figuring it out. Teachers the big comment is, this is hard. This is not what I'm used to. They are dying to have contact with their kids, and the kids in turn are dying to have contact with them. But this is such a big issue, and safety for everybody is top and paramount. So we have to keep our students safe. We have to keep all the staff safe. And if we don't do that, the community isn't safe. Mm-hmm. So it's a very big picture, and it's a very big process that we all have to work together to make sure it happens.
I saw the most touching Facebook video the other day of a little boy that was just on his virtual class for the first time, and he just burst into tears because he missed his friends so much. And it really is reinventing the way that we do so much. It truly is. So Despite the chaos of 2020, the year that will definitely go down in the books as being the most chaotic we probably have ever experienced, what does it look like from your bird's eye view?
It looks like we're improving. We are slowly edging our way back to some level of normalcy. The guidelines on what that has happened have changed almost 20 times since we started this. So we get going down a pathway and we kind of get ready to go and things are looking good and the state puts out a new set of documents and we shift and we move and we adjust. So that's been the biggest challenge, is trying to stay ahead of the expectations so that we can keep everybody safe. That said, Vallecita School District is going to try to come back to campus on the 28th of September. They have a smaller population and decent-sized campuses, so they can do all the social distancing pieces and the masks and keeping everybody safe. Their board is going to vote on that tonight, actually. The other schools are taking a little slower approach and piece by piece. Some are talking maybe mid-October they're going to try. Some are looking at November. But that all of it counts on our county data. And that is so important that people realize that what we do individually out in the community with our friends, that's important. And it makes a big effect on how we approach schools.
As a leader in our community, what is it right now that recharges you and helps you to kind of carry the weight? Because right now I know that you have a ton of weight on your shoulders and a lot of things that you're battling with. What is a leadership kind of fallback that you have? What is something that you do to recharge yourself?
I try to unplug. Before COVID, the job was always very busy and the educators are always busy and you're working on and off all the time. But you could unplug for a weekend and kind of have that as your own time. When COVID hit, that kind of disappeared. The state superintendent calls you weekends, whatever, to get the messaging across. So being able to unplug, leave my cell phone in my desk at home and not carry it around the house is one of the bigger things that I do. Spending time in my garden and on my property, a good time to do lots of housework, as many people have discovered, but anything to kind of distract the normal rat race. Because you got to free up your brain to be creative, and it can't do that if it's in constant tasking.
I think we're getting a test to our bandwidth capacity, not just in the data way, but also in our brain, mechanism too. And so we're definitely putting it to the test. So I am always curious to hear what other leaders do to kind of unplug and be able to reconnect to the purpose of their why.
And I know the community and our teachers are exhausted. I mean, you can just see that on people. Everybody's a little bit edgier than normal. Thank goodness we're in a small community that values relationships and people, because I can't imagine doing this in an environment that wasn't. On the student side, we're working really hard with county mental health, county public health to ensure students have healthy access to things. And so we're trying to wrap services around families in an environment. We have a big conference coming up here on November 2nd, Resilience Rising, which is a trauma-based conference to talk about trauma in families in the community and talk about how we can support each other and how we can learn from that. And the keynote speaker for Calaveras County is going to be the State Surgeon General.
Wow.
So we're really excited. So look for information on that coming out real soon.
Well, how can our community, Calaveras County, how can we support our education system here?
Number one, take a deep breath. Okay. Slow down. Don't jump to conclusions. I assure you, everybody you meet is trying to do the best they can. And so those smiles, that friendly hellos, that waves, the goofy waves, puts people's smiles on people's faces. Really needs to take that edge off because we need to know we need each other. We don't all agree on how we approach this. These little things right here are paramount to something happening right. The other thing I ask the community to do is we need to get people tested. If we don't keep our testing numbers up, we're going to slip into purple very quickly. And purple means more restrictions. And more restrictions means more stress. our small business owners, our families. Nobody needs that. So doing those little parts to wear your mask, get tested, try to limit your social groups. I know it's tempting, but really work on that would go a long way for our community and the schools.
Scott, thank you so much for your leadership in our community here. I know that it's a large burden, and I hope that once COVID-19 has resolved a little bit, or at least we have some momentum gained, that you go off to Maui for a couple weeks.
Yeah, my wife would like that too, very much.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.